Welcome to this week's End of Days Update, coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hey, if you're anywhere near Waco, this weekend we'll be at Word of Life Family Worship Center Sunday morning, Sunday night. We'll be in Groesbeck, Texas, about an hour from Waco. Come join us. We'll have a great time. We go to that church almost every year. It's wonderful folks. I love end times. So come be with us. We're coming to you every week to look at the different things that point to the coming of the Lord, specifically looking at the gathering of nations that are set up in the Ezekiel 38 war. I hear people go, oh, these signs have all happened before. No, they've never happened. You've never had Iran, Russia, and Turkey have an alliance with Syria like it is to destroy and basically take Israel off the map. So that's happening right now in front of our eyes. So I know we keep going back to it, but why do we get into end times? Everybody goes, oh, you don't need to get into that. Well, if you look at the finish line, it makes you accelerate. You don't go, oh, all the work you do in a race to get ready for the race, you don't blow it off at the end. No, it's heightened at the end. So coming to us about the coming of the Lord is about not an escape theology, it's a hustle theology. And what we're looking at right now is what the Bible showed thousands of years ago more information about, so that we could tell where we are in time. Think about it. 31% of the Bible's prophecy. Why would God do that? So we would have a heads up. We could know that He's God, and it brings authenticity to the Bible, but also shows us what we should do. Just like the tribe of Issachar in the Old Testament, they had an understanding of the times to know what the children of Israel should do. Knowing if we don't know the times, we won't know what to do. You think of it, when Jesus came into Gadara, the demons cried out, have you come to torment us before the time? They knew that Jesus had a schedule, but He was early. So if demons could know, how much more the church? And if the Old Testament could know because of that one tribe, how much more the church? Jesus said, hey, you can tell what the weather's going to be, but you don't know your hour of visitation. So really, let's pick up with what's happened in Israel this week. Lots of things going on. Specifically, even yesterday, Israel said it was the most aggressive fighting that they've had since the war began on October 7th. And they found another cache of weapons bigger than all the ones put together, they said. Crazy. So you have Benjamin Netanyahu coming out saying the war is going to probably go on into all of next year, because they keep finding more and more weapons facilities in Gaza itself. Now, the whole world's freaking out about what's happening with Gaza. The humanitarian relief problem, yes, it is a horrible problem. Well, they should have maybe not tried to kill Israel. That's why there's a problem. And they're going to continue to have a problem because Israel's finally doing things the way they should have done it all along. This is something that the Al Jazeera network came out with and the Syrian newspaper came out with. This blessed me so much. There was... With the airstrikes that happened on Tuesday and Wednesday of this last week, okay, there were some Israeli airplanes that took out some massive depots in Lebanon. Huge depots of missiles that were in Lebanon. Tuesday night and Wednesday. And with that, more head commanders were taken out. Seems like every other day you've got a lead commander taken out from Iran Revolutionary Guards, and Israel's doing precision bombing. This is what the Syrian newspaper said. And Al Jazeera said, because they're always against Israel, they said, okay, now Israel will see a convoy, and they used to fire missiles beside the convoy so the men could jump out and run away from it, and they'd give them 45 minutes to get away from the convoys. They said now Israel's firing right at the convoys and killing them all. Well, they're admitting that all along Israel was doing all these things over all the years to try to make sure they didn't hurt anybody. But because of Iran being so crazy, propping all these proxies up, Israel's showing them what's really going on. So it is kind of intriguing that I saw a Forbes outlet say that what Iran's doing with Gaza, what Iran's doing with Hezbollah, is a concentrated, precise method to get Israel off guard so they can nuke Israel. So all this is happening to buy them more time so no one pays attention to how close they are with their nuclear weapons. So this is how bad it's getting. Israel's firing into Lebanon, not just Gaza now. Israel's firing daily into Lebanon because Hezbollah is firing at Israel, to the point that one of Hezbollah's missiles hit an Israeli Air Force base, the Marin Control Center for flights. As a wake-up call for Israel, that's how precise those weaponry are coming out of Hezbollah from the north in Lebanon. So Israel's got it from the south, continuing to happen. I mean, they found a cache of all these gliders that they were going to use again, and they found out the timing of this. This has been planned since 2014. Only 5 of the Hamas commanders knew about it. All the other people did not know about it. So you've got a remarkable amount of stuff going on with, looks like all the weaponry and all the ammunition was coming from North Korea. So North Korea is getting exposed about what their true colors are. You have Iran right now building brand new drones, hyper fast drones to help Russia and to help them defeat Israel. Kind of crazy what you see going on. You had 18 drones come from the Houthis in Yemen, and you had the American warships blow out 18 of them, along with a ship that came from the UK. So England's right there in the Red Sea helping us stop those missiles coming to Israel. It's kind of crazy that England said they don't have any more weaponry for themselves. They send it all into Kiev. So, I mean, you got all this stuff happening trying to support stop Russia in the Ukraine, all of the United Kingdom's missiles going to that. You have NASA that comes up with a brand new asteroid that's headed right toward the Earth right now. You've got flooding in Australia. You've got snow, a huge amount of snow in weird places in Japan. So you've got odd things happening with that, along with things happening in the Earth. And if we got into everything that was happening with Israel, with all the stuff coming against it, it intrigues me to hear their timing. They said this is going to go on for quite a while. What I'm intrigued to see will be if Iran keeps trying to do some more convoys and Israel has to take them out on the way down to Hezbollah. That shows you how precise their missiles are coming out of Lebanon. Be intriguing to see how it gets taken up a notch. You've got Jordan's king, you got Egypt's prime minister or president meeting today, right now, trying to come up with a solution. You have Saudi Arabia saying they will normalize relations with Israel if Israel will give the Palestinians a two-state solution. So the thing I heard last week that kind of freaked me out was they want to have one state with the West Bank and with Gaza. I love what one member of Knesset said. He said, let's burn all of Gaza down. So it's sad for the people that were there, but they shouldn't be connected to terrorist organizations that want to annihilate Israel. Everybody that you'll see connected with those groups that are going to try to annihilate Israel, you're going to see radical harm come to them. But it is going to have to get really bad over and over again. I say this because the Antichrist is going to come in with a solution. So it's going to get so horrible that Israel will cry out for the Messiah, and the Antichrist is going to show up. And that's going to be the bummer of all bummers, because Daniel talked about that. Aren't we blessed that Daniel shows us all this? The book of Revelation shows us what will happen. It shows us the nations that get involved, and we watch them right in front of our eyes. We always go back to this. So why would we get into this? Because he loves you. He wants you to have a heads up. That's what he said. When you see these things come to pass, he didn't say freak out. He said lift up your heads. Don't be downtrodden. So the number one thing about all this info is to be excited, to be anticipating the glory of God, anticipating the coming of the King. Wow, we're about to see him. So what does the word say? We go to it every week. There's so many things you could get into, but just amazing. Number one, Israel regathered. What did Paul say in Romans? When you see Israel regathered, what's that mean for the church? Life from the dead, resurrection. So Israel regathered, Jerusalem won back. Jesus said, if you see those two signs, you're the generation. But you got the Hebrew language restored, you got the Ethiopian Jews brought back, you got the fertility of the land of Israel, you have the revival of the Roman Empire. I mean, you have the headquarters for the EU. Looks like the Tower of Babel. Absolutely amazing. You had foxes show up on the Temple Mount. You had fish show up in the Red Sea. You had the Dead Sea turn blood red where Sodom and Gomorrah was. Radical. Amazing. It happened on the Day of Atonement. So you have all these things. You have the ritual baths around the Temple Mount fill up with water. You have the red heifers. You have 5 perfect red heifers for Israel. You have a lot of things going on right now about the rebuilding of the temple. The Temple Mount Institute's in position to be able to start having sacrifices. They've been doing it for 2 or 3 years. They've been getting arrested for 2 or 3 years, but they keep pushing for that because it's real. It's about to happen. So all these things that the Bible said you'd see, you're watching the setup for it. 172 different species of predatory birds start showing up. So you got the cleanup crew for the wars. Pretty amazing. Men will be lovers of themselves. I saw a picture today of a man that was half man, half woman, married himself. How weird is that? I wish I had the photograph I could show you. It just freaks me out how things are changing so much right now, right before the coming of the Lord. So sign after sign after sign. You had the archway for Baal worship get rebuilt in Palmyra. That's where the Tower of Babel was. Why? The Talmud says that's the last sign you'll see right before the coming of the Messiah. So many things set up for this. So what do? Help our local church, help our local pastor. We stay involved. Sign after sign after sign after sign right in front of our eyes. I mean, one of the signs that I don't even talk about is China had one child policy for so many years. They would abort their female babies because they wanted their last name to continue. So you have in China right now a group of young Chinese men that have no girls to date. So of course they're going to want to kill somebody. So the Bible says that they come try to annihilate Israel, and that they come right over the Euphrates River that's been running dry. The Euphrates River has to run dry because the kings of the east will come over that river. So all these things are set up for us so that we can see Jesus is just about to come. Well, you go from signs to signals. You had the blood red moons on Passover and Tabernacles. Radical to have blood red moons on Passover and Tabernacles 4 in a row. NASA calls that a tetrad. When's the last time you had 4 in a row like that? 1967 when Jerusalem was won back, 1948 when Israel was made a nation, and 1492 at the Edict of Expulsion when the Jews were kicked out of Spain. So amazing happenings in the heavens, what the Bible would call signals for us. You have it right in front of our eyes on specific days with Israel. Well, that's our timepiece. Jesus said, look at Israel, and you could tell what was going on. Like in the Old Covenant, you could look at Methuselah. The year he died, the flood came. Well, you can look at God regathering Israel, so it's a timepiece for us. So then after that, you got so much more. You got the Bethlehem star, Jupiter, Regulus, and Venus coming together. You had Regulus do retrograde motion. It looks like it went backwards, but it crowned Jupiter because it's a king planet, 2 king planets. So amazing. So what is all this for? We don't get into weird astrology or whatever, but the Bible says that the heavens would be for signals for us. So there's so much that happened in 2017 that I don't hardly ever get into, but the things that happened in 2017, I told the Lord, if you don't come back this year, you missed a wonderful opportunity. So radical 2017 and current things happening in the heavens that point to the coming of the King. So what do? We hustle. This is real. I have all these shows that interview you and they go, well, we fact check you and this is all happening. Hello. I'm not sharp enough to come up with this stuff on my own. The Bible said this is what you see and you're living with it happening. So what does that tell you and I? Hustle. We got to go for it. We got to get as many people saved as we possibly can. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem and pray for our friends there in Israel and pray that these things will happen quickly so that less people get hurt. But my friend, it's set up for the King to come. So we'll come back this next week. We'll look and see what happens. We go to Boise, Idaho the next week, and then the week after that, I think we go to South Carolina. But Jesus is just about to come. Let's go for it. Have a blessed week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for joining us today at the End of Days Update. If you'd like to be notified every time there's a new post, just go to the EDU at josephmorris.com and subscribe to receive email alerts. If these posts and updates have been a blessing to you, please consider making a one-time donation to help get the message out, or even becoming a monthly partner with Joseph Morris Ministries. Thanks again for tuning in to the EDU, and we'll see you next week.